Breaking news here, Vincenzo's Go Crypto Investing on this 13th of August, if we can believe this already, as we continue to march our way through 2023 on a seasonably nice day with slight overcast and temperatures in the mid 70s with low humidity in the greater Roseville metropolitan area in the great state of Michigan. This is Vincenzo's Go Crypto Investing. Bell notification, subscribe to the channel, like it, and share to get that truth and information and education that you need to make an informed decision. And right out of the gate here, we got Ripple non-paid, non-promoter, non-influenced by the criminal gangsters that have infiltrated the United States banking service, the Federal Reserve, and world governments around the nation to squeeze and bleed the retail investor and the average American and world man and woman out of their hard-earned fucking money. Ripple says U.S. banks will want to use XRP cryptocurrency after partial victory in SEC fight. Ripple is confident U.S. banks will start wanting to use for cross-border transactions after a judge gave the firm a partial victory in its fight against the SEC. General Counsel Stu Alexortry told CNBC it wasn't a total victory for Ripple. However, the judge ruled that the sale of XRP by Ripple to institutional buyers do not count as unregulated securities. Blockchain startup Ripple is confident U.S. banks and other financial institutions, and this is January 30th. That picture's from January 30th. This article is from July 11th, 2023, 1:11 a.m. and updated July 18th at 4:32 p.m. From CNBC, a credible source. Blockchain and Ripple startup that banks and other financial institutions in the country will start showing interest in adopting XRP and cross-border payments after a landmark ruling decentralized the token was not in itself necessarily a security. The San Francisco-based firm expects to start talks with American financial firms about using its on-demand liquidity ODL products, which uses XRP for money transfers in the third quarter. Stu, Ripple General Counsel, told CNBC in an interview last week. XRP, a cryptocurrency, Ripple is closely associated with itself, not necessarily as security. Ripple has been fighting the SEC for 3 years. Ripple and two of its executives conducted an illegal operation of $1.3 billion worth via sale of XRP. Ripple disputed the claim XRP cannot be considered a security and is more akin to a commodity. Ripple business suffered as a result, with the company losing at least one customer and investor. MoneyGram, the U.S. money transfer giant, ditched its partnership with Ripple in March of 2021. We'll see if that was a mistake by them or not. Meanwhile, Turdigan, a UK-based investor that previously backed Ripple, sold its stake back to Ripple after unsuccessfully trying to sue the company to redeem its cash. Asked whether the ruling meant that American banks would return to Ripple and its use, Eldoradi said, I think the answer to that is yes. I think we're hopeful that this decision would give financial institutions customers or potential customers comfort to at least come in and start having the crucial and most important part of the whole business deal, the conversation about what problems they are experiencing in their business, real world problems in terms of moving value across borders without incurring obscene fees that we all know are there by the criminal gangsters to suppress the movement of money and the movement of freedom via their own money. Hopefully, this quarter will generate a lot of conversation in the United States. Ripple has 900 employees globally. XRP is the cryptocurrency Ripple uses, with a market capitalization of $37.8 billion, the fifth largest cryptocurrency in circulation. The token as a bridge. The company uses the token as a bridge between transfers from fiat currency to another, for example, US dollars to Mexican pesos, to solve the issue of needing pre-funded accounts on the other end of the transaction in order to send and receive money. Ripple says XRP can enable money movement in a fraction of a second. For example, about 728.9 billion of sales in XRP to institutions the company worked with did not qualify as security. And that's all critical news and critical information as Ripple continues to be looked at, talked about for mass adoption. And more importantly, it is becoming more and more usable and more used every day, every hour, every minute of each and every wonderful year that we continue to march through and march forward towards that ever ending 2028, when most of this digital currency around the world will be done and everybody will be ditching cash, physical money for a digital assets. All right. Let's see, what other news do we have? Before we get into some more news, let's look at the click price, because we've been touting and been talking about, been one of really the only station out there that has kept you straight out of the FUD, straight out of the FOMO, and straight with the truth and information and facts that you need. And we told you, never buy into a pump, just like XDC, just like XLM. On an ongoing pump, never buy, because there will always be a better buying opportunity. And you can see the better buying opportunity just in the short term from here is if you would have FOMO'd in anywhere up near the top, we'll just not even go from the wick. We'll just go from the two big candle pushes that gave you time to buy. You could have got 25% more XRP by just waiting a few weeks, a couple of weeks, because the natural consolidation down, right? And then we put a 30% potential crash here coming, and we got down about 17 or 18%. From what I remember, it was at the top of the blue trading zone to the bottom of that wick, 14%, so about halfway there. And then we had this little mini move that we were forecasting, and we told you you're either going to get killed by the moving averages of the blue trading zone and fulfill this move, or if you wanted to get bullish and switch the bearish action, as we know, we went over the trading world, pumping price, pumping volume there, bullish up and sideways consolidation with falling volume after the pump, very bearish. Often you notice a rounding top, as we did here, as the buyers or the bulls are being exhausted and the sellers or the bears are taking over the market, and the price is going to come down, which it did, and it met about the mid-road, the 50 percentile range from what we think might be coming up is that 47.6 cents. And now we're getting struggled by the moving averages, and when this, you can see that we had the mini volume spike, and then the volume is almost down the pre-pump levels, pre-news levels, pre-judge, and injecting news that put the momentum in the buyers and some shorts to cover that turns in the buys. When you have a bunch of short sellers and they start covering, that acts as buys. The price starts to go up, the squeeze continues, the retail jumps in, and they have a massive 4-hour candlestick of volume. And literally everybody that was waiting to buy or using a reason or an excuse to buy bought on that day, that hour, that minute. And ever since then, the price has had a systematic decline to the downside with ups and downs, but it's been a steady, orderly, systematic decline. And I'm still thinking like the overall crypto market hasn't had capitulation. Eventually, there's going to be capitulation on all coins, but that is not what capitulation looks like. That is an orderly decrease. But what you want to see to get bullish is you got to get back on top of this blue trading zone and start to move forward. And also at the same time, you got to have volume start to trend up like that. You got to have volume trending up along with the price trending up. You want to have volume lead the price, right? That's always very bullish. But if the price continues to go up like there and the volume continues to decline like right there, that is a trading roll that the price is going to come down. So I'm watching for the 57.9 cents. If you break the bottom part of this blue trading zone, you're coming all the way back down here to the mean of the volume, which you can remember we've been talking about this. There's a lot of open space there in this local area. And if we continue to show you now, you can actually see that even better now as the price actually continues to mature. Look at all this gap. That's straight down, you're going to flush. Just like you pumped straight through it. If you breach this, you're flushing straight down. And those are the two areas that I'm watching. This 57.9 cents. If you break that, you'll complete the 30%, 32.3969% dump that we were talking about up there, coming down here. And this would be the last leg of a major dump right here. And that's a pretty big flush that would take place in a very short amount of time. And if you want to get bullish, what you have to do is, I'm not sure, the price label is a little bit off this. You have to get above the top part of this blue trading zone that's at about 69 cents. And you have to floor up above it, breach some of this local resistance, back test it, hold it as support now, and then have the volume continue to increase, at least from this base state, and start to work your way up, right? And then you could look something like this, where you have multiple different patterns. But those are the two levels. You got to break that 69.5 cents and confirm it as bullish. Or if you slip this 57 cents, you're coming straight down in a pretty fast, voracious, liquidity grabbing move down to 47 cents. The same, if we take a look at a little bit more news here, uh, US SEC slammed for misleading XRP report. Let's take a look at this. Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse reportedly criticized the U.S. Exchange Commission for misrepresenting the company's quarterly XRP market report. Garlinghouse SEC used this report against Ripple in the lawsuit, despite company was never required to publish them. Nevertheless, they stated that doing so to provide transparency about XRP holding. We began these reports voluntarily to provide an update on XRP holding. Unfortunately, they were used against us in the SEC lawsuit. XRP will be committed to transparency throughout, and will look different going forward. Garlinghouse statements were supported by Ripple's attorney, John E. Denton, who explained on Twitter that in the Twittersphere that the report were published for transparency and not obligatory. Blah 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 blah. The rain fart. As Ripple begins, a private company was not required to share them. It is true that the SEC used transparency of these reports against Ripple and two executives. As a private company, Ripple was under no obligations to share this info. Other companies not only didn't share token sales, but initially discouraged those transactions. The SEC used Ripple's report against them. The SEC attempted to use the information against Ripple report against the company during the lawsuit. Recent reports of the second quarter 2023, Ripple announced that it would change the format of its reports to focus on clarifying misunderstandings and providing transparency, most importantly, about the XRP holdings. Ripple highlighted the most of the monthly release on XRP escrow account, them being sold under the open market. However, Garlinghouse clarified that they may change the focus of the report due to the SEC's recent action. SEC versus Ripple case is still ongoing, July 13th. We have a bunch of nonsense that is still taking place. But those are some things going on in the XRP with adoption, with news against the government. As we know, the government's the henchmen of the criminal gangsters, and we must fight them. And I did buy algo. I bought another 8,000 or 800 coins. I'm up to 5,200 coins collecting on algo, and I'm looking, as long as the price is around where it's at now. Yes, this thing could go to 3 cents. I understand that. I understand it could go to a penny, but I feel that from 98% move, now is a good time to acquire for just about $800, $900. We'll go and speculate because it's a massive speculation, and that's what all crypto is. And you must understand that it's very risky and it's very speculatory. But we're going to try to acquire 10,000 coins, and we're about 53% there, even though we realize this price could come all the way down here, and I could be at a 50% loss even after buying it after it was down 90%. But in the short term, we had this rising wedge up here that telegraphed that this was going to roll over on itself. Now we got a falling channel, which is also similar. It's a bearish continuation pattern, but a bullish reversal pattern at the bottom. And I could see a spot where this thing reverses and hits its technical target, which would be in the area up near the top where it had its first major support and then its first major resistance and rejection, which would be up into this area, right? And eventually, I think in a year or two, it could be up there. And maybe even looking at algo's future and what they talk about 2027, 2028, this coin might really be flying high, breaching its all-time high. And that's why I felt it was very important, as it's an ISS 2023 through 2100 compliant coin with the banking system. And so I felt it was very good to buy this. XLM, I told you on the pump, don't FOMO into a pump because there's always a better buying opportunity. And if we go into the 4-hour time frame, just like the XRP, there is a better buying opportunity from here to here. You're about a 25% better buying opportunity. But now the price is staggering and the buying is going to come back in. And if you slip down, you're going to come all the way down to the 10.6 cents. And then that would essentially be giving away the entire gang off this big pump that went from here. You'd be giving away 45% of the overall price and about 95% of the overall pump. If you look at it from where that news came out to the moonshot, it went up about 100% or slightly more. And if you come all the way down here, you'd only be up 7% from the initial pump. And that's something that we were talking about up here, as we had a left shoulder, it looked like maybe a head, and a right shoulder, if we just forgot about that up there, which you don't always do, but it was a big 30-second wick. You forget about that, right? And then you got a head and shoulders topping reversal pattern, and you have a neckline sitting right about there, right? It's a slanted, or it's on an angle. It's an angled head and shoulders, and the targeted move would be from the top to the bottom to the point of a breakout, and that gets you all the way down here at 10 cents. And that would be the next major move to the downside if you breach this critical 13-cent level. And like XRP, if you wanted to try to switch the pattern to short-term bullish again or medium-term bullish, you'd have to break apart that 15.6 cents and continue to hold it. And the XTC, the commenter that a few weeks ago that told me I cost him a bunch of money. No, I didn't cost you any money. You have to make your own educated decision on to buy a coin. You didn't buy it. All my advice was if you miss that huge massive pump over a week, don't chase the pump because there would always be a better buying opportunity. And now this thing looks like XLM where you could have a left shoulder, a head, maybe you could form a right shoulder here. Then you have that slanted head, you have that inverted or slanted angled neckline right here that you could draw. And then you could go and say your targeted move would be from the top of the head to the neckline to the point of a breakout, wherever that may be. And you can see that would bring you all the way back down here into that 0.056 range. And that would essentially give away the whole pump and be just back to where you were here back in April when you didn't want to buy it, in May when you didn't want to buy it. But now you wanted the FOMO on a local pump. And XDC, even though I think it's a coin you might want to collect for the long term, this news is wearing out about some of the things that happen on the other side of the pond that some institutions said they would think about or incorporate using it, and maybe even are, but it's down 30% from the top. And if this breaks down, you're going to be down 53% from the top. And then you have just as good as opportunity to buy this coin as you were gonna to begin with, because based on what you were saying, you wouldn't have sold it if you have it for this little pump right here that everybody was concerned about they were missing out on. But if you can buy it back down here, if this price does continue over the next several weeks to a month or two, come back down to the moving averages, no harm, no foul. Take action. That's the most important thing I can tell you. Each and every one of you have to understand and get educated on topics and investments that you want to make, and then you have to take action. The most important thing you can do is get educated, and then after that is the follow through with the action taking and fulfilling the plan that you have built up. Like, subscribe, and share. Peace and love.